Hey everyone, this video is going to be covering sort of the end of our look at solving equations. We're going to be looking at putting it all together using what we had in the other videos, distributive, like terms, variables on both sides, and two steps, and sort of meshing it together to look at some higher level problems. So we're going to be looking at a number of them to find their answers and then check them to find the solutions. Remember, we're going to run reasonably quick, so if you need to pause, go back, relook, then go ahead and do that. So our first equation we're going to look at is 3 plus 5p equals 1 plus 4p minus 4. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to separate my two sides. I always look for distributive first, but I see no grouping symbols, so I don't need to worry about it. So the next thing I always look for is like terms. That means make certain each side has no more than two terms. So I see the right-hand side is the only one with some like terms, so I'm going to put those together. So 3 plus 5p equals 4p. 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Now I look for variables on both sides. That's the order I was going. Distributive, combine like terms, variables on both sides. I see that there is a p on each side, so I'm going to move the 4p from the right to the left. Doesn't have to be that way, but it usually helps. So we have a p left over and negative 3. Now I'm down to a two-step, or in this case a one-step equation. I only need to move that 3 from the left to the right. So p is equal to negative 6. So there's my answer. Now remember, in order to check this, I'm going to plug it in. 3 plus 5 times negative 6 equals 1 plus 4 times negative 6 minus 4. I've got this multiply and this multiply to do. So 3 minus 30 equals 1 minus 24 minus 4. So 3 minus 30 and then left to right on that. So that's negative 27 equals negative 23 minus 4. And then my last step, negative 27 equals, that's going to be negative 27. So it checks, so that means negative 6 is our solution. Remember, with all of these, just go step by step. If you need to show more steps, then that's what you do, show more steps. Now the next one is a little bit unique. If you notice, there's no distributive, but there is like terms on this side. But the unique thing is everything has an x. Now I'm going to combine one piece at a time. So that's going to be negative 12x. Now I'm going to add that to move it over to the left. Again, you could move it either way. So that's going to give us 17x equals. Now, whenever you cancel out an entire side, this is one of the rare times we actually do have to put a 0. Now to solve this, now that we're down to just one variable, I divide, but you may have already spotted 0 divided by anything is 0. That's that 0 property rule. So now for our check, we're going to go 5 times 0 equals negative 6 times 0 minus 6 times 0. So I can do all of these multiplies at the same time. 0 equals 0 minus 0. So 0 equals 0. So 0 is our solution. Remember that it's just following things step by step. Now we're going to move into something a bit more. Let's see, 4, 6n plus 6 equals 5n plus 5. So we do have a distributive on here. So I'm going to do that first, always. 24n plus 24 equals 5n plus 5. Now I'm going to move the variables and get them together. I'm going to subtract the 5n over to the left. So that's going to end up giving us 19n plus 24 equals 5. Now I've got a two-step, so I can subtract 24. Let's stretch this down. So 19n equals negative 19. So I'm going to divide that 19 away from the left, and that's going to end up giving us n equals negative 1. So there's our answer. Now I'm going to check it. So 4, remember, always use the original. Now remember, I'm switching between parentheses for multiply and the dot operator. Just depends. I just personally don't like having a lot of parentheses within parentheses. So I can do that and that. So 4, negative 6 plus 6 equals negative 5 plus 5. So I've got something on each side to do. Times 0, 0. So 0 equals 0, so it checks. So negative 1 is our solution. Remember that it's all about just working things through step by step, being very clear on what you write. And if you need to take more time, then take more time. So negative 2 plus 3, m minus 3, equals negative 5 plus 6 times m. Now this one is probably the highest type of one, other than decimal and fraction numbers involved, that you tend to see, at least at the Algebra 1 level. I've got distributive, so I want to deal with that first. So that's going to be plus 3m minus 9. Negative 5 plus 6m, just bring it all down. Now I do have some like terms over here on the left, so I'm going to combine those. So 3m minus 11 equals negative 5 plus 6m. Now I'm going to move the 3m over here onto the right, just because I prefer it to stay positive. But again, that's up to you. So that's going to be plus 3m. Now I've got a two-step, so I'm going to add the 5. So I still have my 3m. And then negative 11 plus 5 is going to give us negative 6. So then, let me just sort of move it over here. So negative 6 equals 3m. I'm going to divide by 3. So m equals negative 2. So there's our answer. Let's sort of just separate here for our check. Now just because of space, I'm going to break the check up. I'm going to do the left side by itself. So we're plugging in negative 2. Let me get rid of that. Minus 3. So that's going to give us negative 2 plus 3 times negative 5. So then I can multiply, so negative 2 minus 15. Well, that's going to give us negative 17. So now for the other side of the check, negative 5 plus 6 times negative 2. So that's negative 5 minus 12. And negative 5 minus 12 is negative 17. Since these are the same, it checks. Therefore, our negative 2 is our solution. Remember, the biggest thing here is just be careful. Take your time, work through them. This is why teachers always tell you, show your work. If you made a mistake, it could be buried in there, but if we can't see it, then we don't know what to look for and how to help you. Don't try doing all the steps in your head. So remember, if you need to go back and check through old steps and old videos, then do so. That way you can just be certain.